That put a different perspective on things for Steve Andreas, where he said, all of a sudden he'd gone from anger because he had a label of this guy's a terrible parent to compassion because this guy's going through a horrific life event. So he's changed the label, and as a result, he has changed his emotion. Hey guys, Matt Tait here. We've just popped into Auckland for 2 nights across from the Gold Coast, and Auckland is very famous for its boats and yachts and watercraft, having such an incredible harbour here. Today I'm doing a quick video on categories and scope and how we label things. Now, there's a really good story Steve Andreas shares in his book, 6 Blind Elephants. And the story goes like this. He's on a train and this guy is on the train with everybody and he's got 4 kids. 4 kids, and the kids are out of control and the father is doing nothing about it. And the people on the train are getting sick of these kids who are misbehaving. Like, why is this guy not looking after the kids? And Steve Andreas himself is getting upset. He's one of the passengers. He's the author of the book. And so he's on the train observing this guy, the father, who's got all these kids, and the kids are running crazy amok and just causing mayhem, disrupting all the passengers, making them feel terrible, jumping on seats, just causing mayhem, going out of control. And of course, everyone's judging him, going, why is this father not looking after the children? Why is this father not reprimanding them, not keeping them in line? They're just totally rambunctious and to the point of, so they're misbehaving, right? So they need some adult supervision, need some adults to guide them. And so he eventually, after a long period of time on the train with these kids running crazy, he eventually said something to the father, say, hey, excuse me, sir, your kids are a little bit sort of rambunctious. Do you think we could get them under control or something like that? And the father kind of snapped out of it. It was like he was in a daze. And because Steve Andreas had labelled this guy as a bad parent, he'd labelled him as just not having any control over his kids, and he'd given him a lot of negative emotions and anger towards the father. His label had caused the emotion. And so he said, the gentleman after, he said, could you please, get your kids in line, or in nicer words than that. The gentleman snapped out of it and said, I'm so sorry. Sorry, I'm just a little bit out of it. I've just come back from the hospital and the children's mother has just passed away. The children's mother has died and I am completely lost. That put a different perspective on things for Steve Andreas, where he said, all of a sudden he'd gone from anger because he had a label of this guy's a terrible parent to compassion because this guy's going through a horrific life event. So he's changed the label, and as a result, he has changed his emotions. All of a sudden, he couldn't do anything more. He wanted to help him. He wanted to look after him. He wanted to see, is there anything I can do? And he had a lot more compassion for this man, as did all the passengers around him who heard this story. And as a result, the judgment melted away. As a result, the judgment stopped. And as a result, he changed his feelings about the situation. So think about that for yourself. Where have you judged a situation where you've made a judgment? It's caused you anger. It's caused emotion. You've made a meaning about it. You've got a whole story in your head about how someone's terrible and they're creating this pain for you. And then you hear what's going on in the background. You hear what is going on that's causing these problems. And all of a sudden, your perception shifts, where you realize, okay, there's a lot more going on here than I have initially seen. The reality is we don't know everything that's going on in people's lives. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because of the whole book, Scope and Category, and 6 Blind Elephants. And as a result, that theory went into a coaching model called the self-concept model. And the self-concept model is using this type of scope or labels and category, the width and the narrowness of your experience. So you think about Steve in that situation. He was a passenger observing a very narrow piece of experience, which was kids being rambunctious, causing mayhem, getting angry, annoying the other passengers. But when he widened his scope of experience, where he knows more about this guy's life, all of a sudden, it starts to make sense. All of a sudden, the emotion changes. This is the power in coaching of scope and category, or labels, and your width or narrowness of experience. We are deleting, we are distorting, and we are generalizing all the time the information we are exposed to. But then there's the information we don't even know about, like this guy's wife who's passed away in the hospital, and he's now got 4 kids to look after. Could you imagine then going into the future, as we widen that out even more, this guy has 4 young kids and he's got no wife to help raising of the children. Now, in the younger years of life, the mother is really important. And so I don't know what age the children were, but I'll have to go back to the book and get that out. But could you imagine this guy is just, how the hell am I going to raise 4 children by myself? Whereas that wasn't part of his plan. Could you imagine the future? And the stress he's thinking about, all of the logical things, but he's also lost his partner. He's lost his partner in life. He's lost the mother of his children. He's lost his wife. And then the families, like they've lost a daughter. They've lost a niece. They've lost an auntie. The whole family, you start thinking about the widening of that scope and how it changes the emotion. So I hope this helps you guys understand the power of scope and category, understand how we can change our emotions, understand how to change how you feel about your life. Now you can do this for you too. You can change the labels, change the width of experience, change the things you're focusing on, widen the focus or narrow it. You can play with it and completely change how you feel. All right, that's enough for this video. Let's jump into the next one. That's a nice video on scope and category.